Okay, y'all, this video is for you. If you simply cannot find bolo brands in your area and you really want to sell them, or for whatever reason you just can't leave your house or your work in order to source as much as you'd like, this allows you to source from the comfort of your home. So today we are talking about online arbitrage. Let's get into it. Hey y'all, welcome back to my YouTube channel. My name is MOGIBETH, and for those of y'all who are new here, I own a six-figure reselling business selling primarily women's clothing on places like Poshmark and eBay. And in today's video, we're talking about online arbitrage. So this video is really going to consist of 4 parts. The first is that I'm going to just explain what is online arbitrage and talk about where you can perform this type of sourcing, what the advantages are, and a few words of warning. Then I'm going to share some examples of success that I have had by sourcing with this strategy. And then I actually, before this video, spent a few hours doing some online arbitrage myself, and so I wanted to show you some deals I came across before I go ahead and buy them. And then last, we're going to just spend a few minutes looking and doing a little bit of online arbitrage together. And really what I want to get across there is how I find the deals that I come across, and then how I find the style name for those deals and how I check comps with that style name. So let's jump into it. Okay, so the first question is, what is online arbitrage? And I want to answer that question by just answering what the term arbitrage means. So I've pulled up actually 2 definitions that I'm going to share with you. The first is that arbitrage is the purchase and sale of the same asset in different markets in order to profit from differences in the asset's listed price. The second is the practice of taking advantage of a difference in price in 2 or more markets. So as resellers, we are actually constantly arbitraging between 2 different markets. Typically, we're buying things from one retail store, which is usually a thrift store or a Goodwill, and then we are arbitraging that thing by selling it on a different retail platform such as eBay, Poshmark, etc. As resellers, we typically don't manufacture anything, we don't make anything, we buy something from one place and sell it at another. And the reason we're able to do this is for a few reasons. One, the first retailer that we buy from typically doesn't understand the value of the items that they have, and so they'll sometimes price items far below market value. The second is that the first retailer that we buy an item from typically doesn't present the item in a very attractive way, which can go a long way in determining an item's value. Next, typically that first retailer doesn't provide information about the item such as the style name, and since a lot of shoppers are searching for items based on style name alone, this limits their ability to just find those items. And then lastly, the first retailer that we buy from is oftentimes limited to a certain location. This is especially true for a thrift store, or limited to a certain customer base. And so the item would be worth more or have more value if it was accessible or made available to a broader customer base or just a different customer base. Since we don't manufacture anything or produce anything as resellers, which is a good thing because there's so much stuff in the world already, our job as resellers is to purchase an item, arbitrage that item, provide more information about that item, make it look presentable, and make it available to a larger customer base online. This is the value add that we have as resellers, and it's a really important one and something that oftentimes needs to be explained to people who aren't resellers. So online arbitrage, what do I mean by that? So you probably have heard about retail arbitrage, and if not, I'll link up my video on retail arbitrage on the screen. That's when you go into a retail store, let's say at Nordstrom Rack or TJ Maxx, you buy something there that's typically brand new with tags, and then you sell it on a place like Poshmark or eBay. There's also online retail arbitrage. So that means you go online, you purchase from NordstromRack.com or BlueFly.com, and you do the same thing. Online arbitrage doesn't necessarily mean you're buying brand new from a retail store. It could mean you're buying from a consignment website such as ThredUp, which is spelled T-R-E-D-U-P, or The Real, which is The Real, R-E-A-L, Real, R-E-A-L, and those are 2 that we're going to focus on today. Or it could mean that you're buying from another reseller. So you go on Poshmark and look for items that are priced well below market value. These are typically items that are just sold by amateur resellers, and they don't really have necessarily good photographs. They don't really provide the style name, the description, or anything, and you're able to buy it from them and then flip it and sell it for a greater profit once you make that listing much more presentable to potential buyers. Okay, so why would people want to do online arbitrage? Well, the first obvious advantage is that you can do it from the comfort of your couch. A lot of people have a hard time leaving their house, or they're busy working when thrift stores are open. And so this presents them with an opportunity to source great pieces and run a business strictly from the comfort of their home. But another really big advantage to this sourcing strategy is that instead of being completely reliant upon whatever clothing or items have been donated to your thrift stores that week, which can be highly variable, as I'm sure all resellers know, this allows you to actually seek out certain brands, seek out certain styles that you know to be in high demand. And this really allows you to just take matters a little bit more into your own hands instead of just being subjected to whatever comes across your path at the thrift store. This sourcing strategy is actually really helpful for people who have a high ASP business model. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, the first module of our course we released on YouTube for free. If you haven't watched it yet, I would highly recommend it. I'll link it up on the screen. But it talked about the 3 most common reselling business models. We named this one high ASP, and it just means that you're selling for a high average sales price and therefore need to source more expensive brands. But that actually leads me to share a few words of warning with you, because I do have a fair amount of experience with online arbitrage. So the first is that just like retail arbitrage, online arbitrage can be really expensive. Because of this, it's really important that you do your research ahead of time. If you really understand your niche, which is again something we go over in the course, or really just understand a certain subset of brands well, you'll be able to identify opportunities in which an item is really underpriced and therefore available for arbitrage. You'll also want to check comps for every single item that you're buying, and luckily you're at your computer anyway, so it's really not nearly as bad as when you're at a thrift store, but still it just takes a certain degree of discipline to make sure you're not just putting things into your cart because, hey, you want to be able to find it anywhere else. You really want to make sure what you're buying actually has demand and will garner a good profit and profit margin on the resale marketplace. It's really easy to overspend on inventory this way. Your profit margins are probably going to be lower with this particular sourcing method, and that can be okay. I talked about a lot in this video, profit versus profit margins, how oftentimes profit margins aren't necessarily the thing that you need to be hyper focused on, but it's really important to have some parameters for your sourcing decisions. So you have a minimum expected profit for each item that you source and potentially a minimum expected profit margin. Because it's more expensive, it's higher risk. So it's really important to mitigate that risk with as much research and checking comps as possible. Another thing just to consider is that you can end up buying a $40 item and then have it sit. And this has happened to me many times. And then you think to yourself, well, I could have really spent that $40 that's tied up capital just sitting in my inventory on several things at the thrift store or dozens of things at the bins. And so whenever you're sourcing something, it's really important to consider the opportunity cost of your sourcing decisions. And then the last word of warning is that this sourcing method can be a massive time suck. You can spend hours and hours scrolling and searching on ThredUp, The RealReal, Poshmark, eBay, you name it. And so it's really important to put some limits on your time, how much you're going to spend on this sourcing strategy. And it's really important not to fall into the fallacy of thinking that because you've spent so much time, you have to spend a lot of money. This is a trap that I fall into time and time again. I try to justify the time I spent by buying inventory I probably wouldn't otherwise buy. And so something I kind of do to mitigate or make sure this doesn't happen is that At the end, when I'm checking out, I go through each item and ask myself, if I found this item at a buy-sell trade store here locally or at a thrift store here locally, would I pay this much for it? And after checking comps and knowing what I know, this is, for whatever reason, a question that kind of grounds me back into reality and releases me from the mindset that I have to take advantage of opportunities of underpriced or undervalued items, even if it would lead to lower margins and would tie up a lot of my capital. What you choose to spend on each item and what profit and profit margin you are aiming for is entirely up to you. There's no right or wrong answer, but just know your parameters for your expected profit and profit margin and know your business model. Okay, so now I want to share with you a few examples of success that I've had with this type of sourcing. So the first is a skirt that I purchased on ThredUp, and I'll show you the listing here on ThredUp. It was for this new tag ALC button front skirt. When I did some research, I found that it was the ALC Amelie skirt. So I purchased it for $36.70 on ThredUp. And then I listed it on Poshmark, and I listed it for $175, and it sold for full price, which left me with a profit of $103.30, which was great, and a profit margin of 59.03%. That ALC skirt is one of my best online arbitrage success stories to date. And I think I've mentioned on this channel several times before that sending things into the RealReal and to ThredUp, black items tend to not perform very well, and so the opposite is also true. I found this item marked down a lot. It was just a black skirt, but then put into the right context, put on a stock photo, on a model, it looks a whole lot better and more exciting, and so it was able to find the right buyer once it was put into that context. Okay, so the next piece is a pair of McGuire jeans. I will show you the ThredUp listing here. Again, there's no style name or anything like that, and I find that jeans in particular, it's hard for consumers to know like what kind of jeans these are, and a lot of people buy jeans based on style name, and so I have a lot of luck selling denim that I source through online arbitrage. And so I purchased these for $20.30. They were on sale, and I listed them for $90, and they sold for $90 full price again, which left me with a profit of $51.70 and a profit margin of 57.44%. So that was a really, really good sale. And again, I love selling denim in general, and I think this is actually a really great way to source denim. Okay, so the next is a piece that I sourced from the RealReal. I've actually had a lot more luck selling items that I've sourced from ThredUp rather than the RealReal, but recently actually I found a few pieces on the RealReal that I'm really excited to see how they do, and I'll share those with you later. So this was a listing on the RealReal of Veronica Beard floral blouse. At the time when I sourced this, Veronica Beard was selling so fast. So I was purchasing a lot on the RealReal, and while my profit margins were a lot lower, I was just getting a really good fast return on these items. And so I purchased this blouse for $40.71, and then I listed it on Poshmark, Tradesy, and eBay, and it sold actually on Tradesy for $106.25. This left me with a profit of $40.83, so I doubled my money, which left me with a 38.43% profit margin. So again, a lower profit margin, but I made $40, which is a great profit. So I was very happy with that sale. Okay, so the last example that I wanted to share with you is one that I purchased on Poshmark, and then I sold it on Poshmark again. And I didn't do any more of this type of online arbitrage for this video, just because it's a little bit dicey. Sometimes you'll run across buyers who can get kind of salty that you purchase something from them and then you're selling it. And since I'm doing this on YouTube, I just don't want to offend anyone. But it's been a long enough time since I did this particular flip that hopefully I won't offend anybody. And if the seller is watching, well, first of all, I doubt it, but thank you. So anyways, I came across on Poshmark this Anthropologie Sherpa jacket, and it's really pretty. and I can't remember what they had it listed for, but I sent over an offer for $10 and they accepted it. So my cost of goods at the time was $10 plus their $7.11 shipping label, which now it's $7.45, but it was that at the time. So cost of goods $17.11. Then I listed it on my Poshmark closet and on eBay and Tradesy, and it sold in a bundle. I had it listed for $100 and it sold in a 20% off bundle for $80, which left me with a $46.09 profit and a 57.62 profit margin. And so that was a really great arbitrage opportunity in which I was able to add stock photos. I was able to just take more professional looking photos, add the style name, and it actually sold really quickly and actually garnered a lot of likes and views and comments. And so there's definitely a lot of opportunities like that on Poshmark. There are a lot of people who just, you know, they're just selling things in their closet. They're not going to take the time to do the research to find the style name, add keywords, or even really take great photos. And so if they price it low enough, then it presents an opportunity for you to go ahead and give them a quick sale, but then also flip it and make some money yourself. All right, so those were some of my successes. Now I want to show you some deals that I found just now before filming this when I was searching on ThredUp and the Railroad to find some online arbitrage deals. So the first that I found were these Legence jeans that when I did some research was able to find that they are called the El Matador jeans. So after doing research and checking comps, I found that my cost of goods would be $18 and my expected sales price would be $56, which would leave me with an expected profit of $26.80 and an expected profit margin of 47.8%. I've actually had a lot of success selling Legence jeans that I have sourced from ThredUp specifically, so I was really excited to find this deal and hopefully I have the same success with this one. The next was this new tag Beck and Bridge dress, and after looking up I was able to find that it's called the Babes Club dress. The cost of goods for this one was $21.59, and after checking comps I could only find one comp. It was a new tag sale for $90, so I went ahead and put my expected sales price at $90, which left me with an expected profit of $50.41 and an expected profit margin of 56.01%. So even if it sells for less than $90, it will still garner a really good return and a decent profit margin. So I was really excited to come across that one. And I just want to share a couple from each platform that I found. So moving on to the Real, I found these new tag Trave Celsius Kick Flare jeans. I've sold Trave once before. I found it at the thrift store and it did really well. So this is kind of a brand that I want to sell more of and I don't come across it often locally. So this is an opportunity for me to sell it by sourcing it through online arbitrage. They are selling it for $16.25, which is great for a new tag pair of denim from this brand. And after checking comps, since it isn't a blue denim, it's a tan khaki denim, my expected sales price is a little bit lower, but still at $65, which leaves me with an expected profit of $35.75 and an expected profit margin of 55%. So excited to get that one ordered. And then lastly, I actually found a bunch of Isabel Marant pieces, but they sell quick, y'all. So this silk dress that I found sold before I could buy it, but luckily these jeans are still available. These Isabel Marant jeans, I was able to look up, check comps, and find that they're called the Nada Luisa jean, or I think that's how it's pronounced, I'm not sure. And so my cost of goods for this pair of jeans on the Rail is $37.50 with an expected sales price of $100, which would leave me an expected profit of $42.50 and an expected profit margin of 42.5%. So excited about those. And now let's see if my laptop can handle it. It keeps overheating. If we can find some deals together. And the reason I want to do this really isn't because I don't think in the limited amount of time that I have to share that I'll actually find something, but I just want to show you my process. And there's really no right way to do this. There are literally thousands of items online on these platforms. ThredUp advertises that they process over 100,000 items per day. So there's really all different kinds of ways to go about this. And again, it depends on your business model, it depends on your expertise, it depends on your certain niche. But the more research you can do ahead of time before you start searching and scrolling on these platforms, the better. Another tip about sourcing this way is that you want to pay attention to when they're running sales. ThredUp is constantly running sales. Right now they have a sale where items are 20% off, 30% off, 40% off, and 50% off. And so you can find some really good deals that way. And the good thing about the RealReal is that since they control pricing, unlike ThredUp, they're constantly marking down prices. And so another tip for both ThredUp and the RealReal is if you find an item that you think is in high demand and would do really well, but the price is just a little too high, what I will typically do is just like that item, and then I'll just keep an eye on it within my saved favorites. And then if it goes down in price, I may choose to purchase it. However, sometimes you can get free shipping on ThredUp, but almost always on the RealReal, you have to pay for shipping, and it's a flat rate cost. So if you can get a bunch of items, it's better to do so. But again, don't fall into the fallacy of just buying to buy. But that shipping cost I integrate into my cost of goods, and so just something to keep in mind. Okay, so let's go search and see if we can find something. But moreover, I just want to show you how I'm finding items on these platforms, how I find the style names, and how I'm checking comps. So let's go. Okay, so one of my favorite ways of starting out the search is just by pulling up a Bolo brand list. And so I have my 50 Bolo brand list that is available on my website. We fixed it. Sorry to everyone who tried to go over there and couldn't download it, but you should be able to now over at MOGIBETH.com. It has a list of 50 Bolo brands, and I think there are 50 really good ones, but then we also release daily Bolo brands on our Instagram stories. And if you've taken our course, you have the full catalog available to you through, again, our website by going through your membership login. But we also email the weekly recap of those daily Bolo brands and the newsletter, which is completely free. So I have pulled up here the RealReal and my 50 Bolo brand list. And so I'm just gonna start, along the top and search for ALC. And ALC, I really like sourcing through online retail arbitrage because it's been around a while. And so these platforms get a lot of this brand, and so people don't necessarily know what items are worth picking up and what aren't. And I think I kind of have developed a little bit of an eye for noticing which ones are more recent. And of course, we can always check. So I went to ALC and then I sorted by low to high. I'm just going to move this over a little bit here. So I'm just going to scroll, and as you can see, there are a lot of black pieces. But like I mentioned earlier, that black skirt that I found on ThredUp that was new with tag did really, really well. So I don't necessarily want to discount or not consider black pieces. But none of those really, I think, are going to be worth checking out. Just gonna keep going. We're still in the $15 range, which to me is, what I would pay at the thrift store for a lot of pieces. So it's definitely not outside the scope of reason. Okay, here we go. Here's a pair of jeans, and sometimes I can actually sell ALC jeans pretty well. This is an interesting pair of jeans. First of all, they have it marked as mid-rise, but it has a rise of 10.5 inches, which some I think would consider high rise. But it's got some studding along the entire denim, which is interesting. I can't tell if that is metal studding or embroidered. That should be pretty easy to find. So I'm gonna go over to Google, which a lot of y'all ask, how do you find stock photos and how do you find style names? Usually it's Google. Sometimes I will actually pull out my phone and take a photo of my laptop with Google Lens, and that can actually be a really great way when you're sourcing online to find style names. But if we just look up ALC studded jeans, they are called the Malone. Wait, do I have these for sale? Yes, I do. I have these for sale actually in my closet currently, and I think I need to relist them at a lower price, but they do actually have a good amount of interest. I have them listed for $135, but I just want to go ahead and see outside of my one listing what these are going for. We've got ALC listed for typically in the $135 to $90 range, new with tag, and then not new with tag around the $70 range. So I'm gonna go to sold section. So it has been sold on average, let's see, 85, 80, 50, 85, 15. I could actually just quickly calculate the average there. So on average for $63. And granted, most of these are new at tag, so I might do a discount of, say, mine's gonna sell for 45. But they have it listed at $16.25. So if I sold it for $45 after fees, that would give me $36. And so after cost of goods, that would give me $19.75, which isn't bad. I'm gonna look at the condition. It says there's minor pull at the brand tag, which I typically don't care about, and light fading throughout, which I don't see a lot of that. I think the fading to me looks pretty aligned with this type of style, especially if you look at, you know, my listing. It is a pretty faded style. So, and mine's new with tag. So this might be something that I'd consider. If I could maybe get $60 for it or $50 for it instead of $45, it might be worth it. But since I already have one in my closet, I'm not gonna necessarily pick that one up since I want to diversify. It does give me a mental note to relist those and list them a little bit lower. Okay, so let's move on and try again. Let's try a different brand this time. So I'm going to try the brand Saloni. So another tip is you always want to make sure your sizes, if you have that plugged in, is turned off. But I'm going to sort from low to high. Okay, it's quickly getting up there. With Saloni, I really want to sell or focus on dresses, and I don't see any that are a decent style for a low enough price. Saloni has really like loud prints and beautiful colors, so that's what I want to look for with this brand. So I don't really see anything. There is this top, $37.50, which is kind of interesting. So I want to show you another way that I find the style name, and that's by taking the fabric content. If you watch my checking comps video, which again I'll link up on the screen, this is actually something that I talked about, but since these platforms, ThreadUp and RealReal, share with you the fabric content, it's actually really easy to just copy and paste. So I'll just go over here and type Saloni, fabric content, and then I can put blouse, and immediately it pops up. So this blouse is called the Lauren blouse. This one looks like it's a little bit of a different color. So we'll just get rid of that and type in Lauren blouse. And something that I take into consideration is stock photos, because it's something I use in my business, which use at your own risk, but it doesn't have that particular color, doesn't have great stock photos. But if I were to go to solds in Poshmark, I just want to see if, just in case, if this is an item worth considering. So it looks like only that other color has really been sold, and they're probably around on average like $85. Sales price new with tag, less when it's not new with tag. So it's not something that I would consider. Okay, so now that we've done a couple on the RealReal, I want to head on over to ThreadUp and show you another way that I sometimes will come across deals rather than just going off of a BOLO list. So I'm going to go to ThreadUp, and instead of going for a big BOLO brand, I'm actually going to look up a brand I love selling, which is Madewell. And so I'm going to get rid of my sizes again. And since they have a sale going on, I want to look at things that have been discounted. So I'm going to click 50% off, 40% off, and 30% off. And I'm going to sort by low to high. Tops by Madewell, I will very, very rarely pick up. At the bins, I'll pick them up, but I'm not going to spend $7 plus on a t-shirt. So I will go ahead and scroll past all of these. Here is a t-shirt dress. It looks like it's an older style. Oops, I accidentally clicked on it. We'll head on over to the next page. Okay, here's something interesting. This is probably going to be old, but it still might be worth looking up. So this is a jacket, a Madewell jacket for $7.69. So I'm just gonna go over here and search Madewell cargo zipper jacket green. See if that gets me anywhere. So here, there's a utility jacket. Maybe I want to use that search term. Does mine have, it does have a drawstring at the waist. I may have found it. It's called the Fleet Jacket. Let me check the condition on this. It's got a minor stain, minor wear on fabric. It is extra, extra small, which is something to keep in mind, but it still might be worth picking up. I mean, this looks like it is the style. Yep. So we're gonna go ahead and head on over to Poshmark and check comps. Alright, Madewell Fleet Jacket. I'm actually just gonna go ahead and look up extra, extra small and see what that particular size is going for in this colorway too, because I suspect there's probably a lot of this listing because it's an older one and it probably was a pretty popular style. Okay, so as we can see, there's actually quite a few listings, which isn't necessarily a good thing. It does end around here. It looks like on average it's being listed for about 40 bucks. Here's a new tag version for 35, so that's not great. But for $7.69, 40 bucks isn't bad. Let's see what it's selling for. 22, 22, 30, 18, 28, 60, 18, 32, 38. So I would guess around $28, which, here, let's just do the math real quick, would leave us with after fees, $22.40 minus $7.69, a profit of $14.71, and a profit margin of about 53%. So a good profit margin, but not a good profit. I could definitely see someone still wanting to pick that up just because it is so cheap, but I think the fact that there are just so many listings available on Poshmark and it's just not going for very much and it's not going to garner a very high profit, I'll skip it. That's an interesting find. Okay, so let's try one more thing. Instead of looking for a brand on ThredUp, I am actually going to just search jeans. Like I mentioned, I really do like selling jeans that I source through online arbitrage, and I'm going to click 50, 40, and 30% off. And just for the heck of it, I want to look and see items that are new with tag, because obviously that will garner a higher average sales price. So I'm going to click new with tag, so that limits my search to 777 items, which still isn't bad. So now I'm just going to scroll through and I'm going to look through the brands that come up. So we've got some Rag & Bone and Page. These are brands that can do well, but it really depends on the style, and both of these look like older styles. They're low-rise styles, and typically low-rise just doesn't sell for a lot these days. I also really want to avoid printed denim and colorful denim, because printed denim and colorful denim is typically going to just have a lower average sales price than blue, black, or white, or gray. Okay, this is interesting to me. I've sold similar jeans like this before. These are new with tag Legence jeans, and they're distressed. They are asking $30, which isn't really that bad. So I'm going to just search Legence gray distressed jeans. I could also add this 98% cotton piece. The fact that I am not finding them immediately is, it almost looks like them, but they don't have a black threading. So let me get rid of this 98% cotton piece and see if that helps. This looks like them. Yeah, they're called the Highline. So I'm going to over here and see. Right, that dark blue pair I have sold at least once, maybe twice, and it has done well. So, okay, let's see. I have these in a size 24, which is not surprising a lot of times. A lot of times on these websites, size 24 jeans come up, which I still like to sell. So currently there is a size 24 jeans. It's been listed for $125, but it's not new with tag, which is interesting. I want to see what it's selling for. So the most recent one, although It is a horrible listing, was sold for $21 new at tag. But then we have $75, $40, $79, $50, $65, $100, $65, and $55. And only one of those is new at tag, and the new at tag is a different wash, but it sold for $65. So I could take a gamble on these jeans and list them new at tag for $100 if I sold them for $80. Maybe $64 after fees, and then a profit of $33.91 and a profit margin of 42.38%, which really isn't that bad. So I'm tempted to go ahead and consider getting these. I don't know, maybe I'll put it in my favorites and think about it a little bit more, but that is my walkthrough of how I do online arbitrage. Of course, I can spend a long time just perusing, and sometimes I'll just do it on my phone, my app, while I am watching TV. It's just something fun to do as well as a career. But I hope y'all found this video helpful. Let me know in the comments if you have any questions, or I would love to hear your online arbitrage success story, because this is something that I don't hear people talk about too often in the reselling community, but it's really a great opportunity to source brands that you wouldn't otherwise find and to source items from home. If you're curious about this online sourcing strategy, I've actually done a ThredUp haul in the past that I'll link up on the screen in case you are interested, in which I sourced through ThredUp and the RailRail. When the pandemic hit, this was a really popular sourcing method, but it's still very much viable today, and it's even more viable since a lot of people have kind of stopped sourcing this way. So anyways, let me know in the comments down below your thoughts, your questions, your experience, and I hope you found this video helpful. All right, well, I'll see y'all in the next one. Love y'all. Bye.